Okay, so I think we might kick off. Look, anyone who's just joined us, we'd be grateful if you just pop into the chat box where you're coming from and what sector you're in and what your interest lies. We'd be delighted to know that just as we go on to the panel discussion. This session is being recorded, just so you're aware of that, just so that people will have access to it afterwards. But look, we're delighted you're able to join us today. My name is Elaine Donohue. I'm the General Manager of the BIA Innovator Campus in Athenry. We were formed in 2017, and our project really is to develop a one-stop shop for food support based out of Athenry, and a full campus with all sorts of facilities from production, innovation, acceleration support. So I suppose we're looking at everything from farm to fork and helping to fast track anyone who has an idea or anyone who is currently has a food business and wants to grow that. We're going to start off the webinar today with a presentation from Emma Greenhatch. Delighted to have Emma here. It's currently 7 p.m. or more in Australia, so I'm delighted, Emma, that you're able to join us. She's CEO of the Food and Agribusiness Network in Australia. And she's been working for a huge number of years in the food industry. And what's interesting about it is she's worked across the quadruple helix. So education sector, industry, government and community. She's worked with all stakeholders, building competitiveness, collaboration and value at the Food and Agribusiness Network for nearly 6 years now. And as I said, she's a strong background with government and the private sector as a food and agribusiness expert. So look, after we have Emma's presentation, which we're very looking forward to, we have a panel this morning that I'm delighted to have, and we'll introduce them individually afterwards. But we have Jacinta Dalton, who's head of the Culinary Arts and Service Industry at GMIT. We have Jerry McDonough from the Clare Local Development Company. And Sharon Scott, who's coming from Taste Causeway this morning. So great panel, looking forward to the discussion, but we'll kick off initially with Emma's presentation.
Thank you so much, Elaine, and good morning to you all. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to be asked to share a little bit of our clustering journey with you today, and I'm really looking forward to the panel session. And certainly in the last 6 years of FAN's history, we've had a lot of support from a lot of people in clusters around the world, and it's amazing to be able to connect and share some of those learnings, and I always gain so much from it as well. So hopefully this is the start of many conversations and even potentially some collaboration. So there you go, that's great that the tech's already stumping me. So the Food and Agribusiness Network, so we are a food and agribusiness cluster, and we've been going now for 6 years. So our vision is to have a growing and resilient food and agribusiness industry in the regions that we have a footprint in, and to collectively drive the success of our members. And in the true spirit of clustering, the two key words there are collective. So we are all about empowering our industry to grow together so that we can find ways to grow a bigger pie, or make a bigger pie than what any of us can individually do on our own. And success for our members means lots of different things. We have members that want to export their products around the world, and we have other members who are very happy growing or making products for their local communities and doing the farmers markets on the weekends. And so we work with businesses from startups, micro, small, right through to multinationals. And that's been a really important part of our growth journey, is those big companies and small companies sharing their knowledge and experience and expertise with each other. So the catalyst for FAN being established 6 years ago was the local council in our region, the Sunshine Coast Council. We were part of the economic development strategy that they identified food and agribusiness as a high value industry in the region. And then industry, importantly, was the founder of FAN. So we had a number of key industry players in the region, including the lady in the top picture, Sarah. She's from a dairy, makes some amazing cheeses and yogurts, and she was part of the group that founded FAN back in 2015. So just to put it into context of where we are and how tiny we are in comparison to Australia's geography, we're that little black box right down in the southeast corner of Queensland. So we have a fairly small geographical footprint, only 12,000 square kilometres, and a population across our regions of under 1 million people. So we are a little 4 regions in a very big country. You can see that we do have we cover the ocean, so we have got a lot of fisheries happening in our regions, and we also have agriculture, but not large scale agriculture, so not broadacre. We are much more micro, small farms, really premium produce, whereas Western Queensland and other parts of Australia, you've got much bigger land masses where commodity products are produced there for global markets. So, as I'm sure probably most of you are aware, we've got a similar structure as Ireland. So we have our national government, the Australian government, and we have our state government. So Queensland is our state government, and then we have local governments. So our local governments are Gympie, Noosa, Sunshine Coast and Moreton Bay. So we were founded and have our physical footprint in the Sunshine Coast Council, and that footprint we've had since the start. This year, we're actually moving to a new operating model. So we're still going to have the same structure, but instead of having our base just out of the Sunshine Coast and us covering those 4 geographies from the Sunshine Coast, we're going to have cluster coordinators also in Noosa and Gympie and Moreton Bay. The reason for that is that over the last 6 years, we've learned that our value proposition is based on having a really deep ecosystem in the regions that we operate in, and that ecosystem is the quadruple helix. And so after 6 years of having that broader footprint, 70% of our members are still located here on the Sunshine Coast, and that's because that's where we are. So we deliver a lot of our activities here, and this is where we have not just the official interactions with our members, but also the unofficial ones where you might run into someone at the school sports, or you go to another person or another organisation's event and you see your members and your stakeholders. So moving to this new model is going to enable us to build that ecosystem in each of our regions. And we are trying to create FAN in a box, so that, should there be other regions in Queensland or potentially in other parts of Australia, that we have a model that is scalable and replicable. Really importantly though, still connected, because we need to make sure that we're fostering those collaborations and connections at a bigger level, because we live in a global society and a global economy now, and we've certainly seen over the last 6 years those opportunities that come about where you are fostering connections beyond your own borders. So we do cover the whole value chain, and that's been a key part of FAN's value proposition. So there's a lot of industry associations and organisations in Australia that do focus on specific sectors such as dairy, meat, horticulture, seafood. We have all of those sectors within our membership, but we also have other value chain organisations too. So we have input suppliers, packaging companies, logistics, tech, obviously the food service and retail as well, and also the associated services that our members need, banks and accountants and marketing agencies, etc. So for us, fostering collaboration and connection across that value chain is really important, because that's where we often see the innovation occurs, and where there are opportunities to provide the support that our industry needs to solve problems and access new opportunities. We are an industry-led cluster, so we always ensure that we've got around about a 70-30 split between our primary producers and our manufacturers, and then other affiliated organisations. So our current our current membership is definitely weighted towards food and beverage manufacturing, which is because that's what is the most concentration of here in the Sunshine Coast region. We do expect that in the next couple of years, as we expand that footprint more in those other regions that we cover, that we'll have more primary producers coming into our membership, because a lot of those regions have more of an agriculture focus than what the Sunshine Coast does. So we do cover pretty much every sector except for wine, which I'm originally from Tasmania, so the Tasmanian in me is missing wine. It's a little bit too hot and humid up in southeast Queensland to grow grapes, but we make up for that in beer and spirits, which has exploded here in the last probably 5 years. I think we're up to about 24 microbreweries now, and lots of distilleries, and yeah, lots of interesting collaborations happening amongst them, which is great to see. So we have seafood. We're a very big prawn region, and also wild caught tuna. Lots of beverages, as you saw on the previous slide. We have 34 beverage manufacturers. Lots of coffee. Some of it actually is grown here, but not at large scale. But lots of coffee roasters, definitely a concentration within our membership of artisan producers. So in Australia's food and agribusiness industry, 87% of the industry are micro and small businesses that employ less than 19 people. And within that 87%, 37% are actually non-employing. So that stat holds true for our region. We have mostly micro and small businesses, and they need a lot of help, and that's a key role that we can play. And that's why the collaboration piece is so important, because a lot of them, it's not necessarily the production challenges, it's all the other challenges. Lots of them are driven to make products, and that's the fun bit. But running a business and growing a business and having to cover all of those other areas, be the accountant and be the marketer, etc., is often where they need the help, and where we can provide capability building and also connections. That brings me on to, what do we do? Well, apart from really building this ecosystem, we deliver knowledge and connections and profile for our members and capability building in all sorts of different ways. And again, because we're member-led, we really look to our members constantly to guide us in what their needs are. So we're very agile. We don't set a program at the start of the year and say, this is what we're going to focus on, because our industry is evolving all the time and their needs are changing, and we want to make sure that we can be in a position to respond to that. So an example, we have a domestic and export market pathway program where we help to build capability for our members to access new markets. We deliver a lot of events. We probably have 40 plus events per year, which some are focused on capability building, running workshops and all things from food labelling through to when's the right time to scale your business. But a lot of those events are also just based around getting our members together to build relationships and trust, which, as we know, is a really important ingredient for a successful cluster. So every month we run monthly member meetups on farms or in facilities with our members, and that really is a way of them sharing knowledge and helping each other. So it's not just us driving all the activity, but they're actually driving it as well. We have just delivered our largest event for the year that we deliver on an annual basis, our Meet the Makers trade show. So we had this year 80 of our members exhibited product to more than 500 buyers and industry stakeholders, and we held it in a hangar at Sunshine Coast Airport, which was a lot of fun, and especially when the helicopter landed right next to the hangar. But look, that event was about connecting our members to trade opportunities, and it's been fabulous to already see some great outcomes with members getting into new distribution channels and new retailers. I think for me, when people said, how did it go, and was it a success? And yep, absolutely, the intention was to create those trade outcomes. But for me, the success is also in seeing our members catching up together. A lot of them hadn't seen each other for a year due to COVID, so it was a wonderful big reunion, and I think that's what has made our cluster, and what makes cluster so special is that interaction and collaboration that happens between our members, and they have the solutions. We really just provide them with the environment and the platforms to work those out together. So yes, lots and lots of collaboration. I could give you hundreds of examples of our members working together in lots of different ways. It did take us time. It would have been at least 2 to 3 years of constantly delivering things to get our members to turn up and interact together before we started to see a lot of collaboration occurring, because as I said, it's relationships and trust, and that takes time. But now it's happening without us, which is brilliant. That's exactly what we want. So some members are sharing distribution together. Lots of examples here of members creating new product together. If you're wondering what that funny looking red and white thing is, I had to put that in there because it's the most bizarre member collaboration I think we've had. It's goat's cheese that has been freeze dried, and then there's a native fruit here called Rosella, and that's Rosella dust on top of it. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't say what it tastes like, but it just highlights, I guess, the creativity that can come when businesses get together, and there's no limits to what they can do. So I think that's for us what makes this particularly special is just seeing that when members have that opportunity to create something new. Speaking of new, I wanted just to share this with you, because this project that we have been leading now for about 12 months would never have come about if FAN hadn't have developed this cluster and ecosystem over the last 6 years. So during COVID, when we were briefing all 3 levels of government about what was happening in our industry and what some of the challenges and opportunities were, and the government was looking for shiny new things to help with the economic recovery, we put up this concept of a collaborative manufacturing precinct. So the Australian government's committing $1.3 billion to manufacturing. Suddenly onshore manufacturing's become attractive again with all the challenges on supply chains and our not great relationship with China right now. So they're investing heavily in manufacturing, and we've proposed this concept of what would be Australia's first collaborative manufacturing precinct. So it's taking that cluster ecosystem we've established, which we call the soft infrastructure, and putting that into a physical manufacturing facility where we've got food and beverage manufacturers co-located. But they're not just co-located and doing their own thing, they're sharing. So stage 1 of this project has a beverage manufacturing focus, and they'll be sharing waste management, water treatment, refrigeration, air, steam, warehousing, logistics, R&D centre, sharing office space. So we've created this model. It's a circular economy approach where we're optimising resources, but all based around collaboration. And we've presented this to 70 stakeholders now across Australia, and the support we've received has been phenomenal, because so many of our industry are small businesses and scaling is really, really challenging. So by being able to reduce some of those barriers to scale and encourage that collaboration, which we know is where you get more innovation from, we think this is a model that could be applied to certainly other regions and potentially other industries as well. So we've just put in an application to the federal government for funding under that strategy towards this, and we're sitting on the edges of our seat now for the next 7 weeks until we find out the result, and really hoping that we have a chance to prove at a physical precinct level, what an industry-led cluster can achieve. So I think that's probably the key points that I wanted to share with you today about FAN's journey. I think that it's been incredibly rewarding. As I said, it takes time because it's human-based. It's about establishing what do we want to be good at, what are our challenges, how can we work together, where are those areas that we can cooperate over compete, and again, being very agile. So we definitely say yes more than we say no. But it's amazing when you do say yes, what you can actually achieve